Angela Rayner is plotting to oust Sir Keir Starmer, according to reports. Labour is set to announce a crackdown on asylum seekers today, which has prompted fury among left-wing MPs, ripe for a rebellion. Angela Rayner, heavily popular with socialist MPs, could be the woman to lead the charge against Sir Keir Starmer, following a week in which his premiership was openly called into question. Border Security Minister Alex Morris admitted to GB News this morning his party was divided about the issue.
But Mr Norris, you won't get it past your backbenchers, will you? I mean, already we've had Nadia Whittome and Clive Lewis describing these ideas as hardcore, as dangerous and as racist.
Well, I know what they want, and again, I think it's what your viewers want as well. They want an ordered system where people don't come, irregularly, where people don't jump the queue, meaning that those who have legitimate asylum claims aren't able to get them processed swiftly and on with their lives. And I know that they want one that reflects our values of compassion. I want those things too. But I say to my colleagues, and I'll be talking to them, we're listening closely to them, as I will across Parliament and to the British public, that we need a system that is ordered at our borders. We need that control. If we don't, we won't have the confidence of the British public and we will lose permission on the asylum system. So I'd ask them not to defend a status quo that isn't working for anyone.
A number of MPs hit out at the government this morning, including Richard Bergen, who said, "Many who have stuck with Labour so far will be repulsed by these attacks on vulnerable people fleeing war and persecution." And Sarah Owen argued, "There is no evidence that stripping refugees' rights one by one will have any impact on people crossing the Channel. Taking jewellery from refugees is akin to painting over murals for refugee children. These repugnant deterrents did not work for the Tories, and they won't work for us." Former political advisor Oscar Redrop told GB News the party was heavily divided.
Every time you're online, your money and your identity are at risk. Scams now make up nearly 40% of all crime in the UK. That's thousands of attacks every single day. In Britain, someone has their identity stolen every 2 minutes, leaving victims with wrecked finances and years of stress. The threat is real, and you could be next. ExpressVPN is your shield against criminals. It locks down your devices, hiding your personal information and financial details from hackers, scammers, and anyone else looking to exploit you. So whether you're checking your bank, shopping, or just browsing, ExpressVPN makes you invisible to prying eyes trying to steal your money and your identity. ExpressVPN shields your data with military-grade AES 256 encryption. That's the same standard trusted by the US government to guard classified information. This is the highest level of online security you can get. So don't wait for disaster. Secure up to 14 devices at once and get powerful password protection. Real support is available 24/7 because cybercrime never sleeps. Save up to 73% on annual plans today. Every moment you hesitate is another moment you're exposed. Protect your money and protect your identity. Get ExpressVPN right now.
I think the Home Secretary is making the right noises here, and the timing of it is almost fascinating, because I would say that the Labour government are completely dysfunctional at the moment, number 10, number 11, and if the Home Office can sweep in today and actually show some proactivity and some actual imagination on one of the biggest issues for voters, then weeks previously I would have said that Keir Starmer would be overjoyed, but actually with the way things are at the moment, I think it's almost a reflection on his time in Yvette Cooper's. I mean, what have they been doing? I think the Telegraph did a really good editorial today where they kind of said, Mahmood's already showing that she'd be a better Prime Minister than Keir Starmer. And we forget Wes Streeting was obviously referenced last week, but so was she. So I think politically it's very interesting. On the measures themselves, in terms of they're looking at restricting elements of the ECHR as well, Article 8. Which is your immediate family and how that's defined. I think that's pretty solid stuff. It does all feel slightly tinkery, and I would include that in terms of the returns. I mean, we still have lots of agreements that we haven't been able to sign yet, and the one with France just simply isn't working. And I think all voters can see that. I then also think, and I'm not trying to be too negative on it, but this is a political reality. I think there's going to be, and you've got the Guardian front page in front of you there, Chris. There's going to be. It's going to be tough for her to sell this to a lot of Labour MPs.
I mean, having said that, it's been written up well across all the papers, left and right-leaning. I mean, people are applauding the fact that it sounds to be tough. But is it anything more than just hot air? Because I can think of three things that stand in her way: the ECHR, human rights law, and Labour backbenchers. I mean, would she be able to even get this through?
Yeah, absolutely right. Those are challenges that do, when this kind of flies in the face of reality and collides with reality, it's still going to take probably years for any of this stuff to kick in. And when you go, OK, Home Secretary, you've rightly, finally, identified the limitations and the problems we have with our legal system and the ECHR in this country. Why not just go the whole hog?
Oscar, you mentioned there the issue of Shabana Mahmood. Now, of course, I'll view all this through a kind of could she replace Keir Starmer lens. I think she's got away with something here because, of course, she was Justice Secretary from the election to September this year when all those early release, there's mistaken releases were happening. I mean, she kind of...
That Lammy is carrying.
But yes, she's talking a big game, but she's going to battle against her own MPs in Parliament later today, and many won't like what she's up to. I mean, I think she needs to be tough, though. And also, we're only dealing with illegal migration. The big number is legal migration, and that's going to be huge this year as well.
Absolutely, and you can already see how she's rolling the pitch in terms of the problems that she knows she's going to come into with her own MPs. In terms of, but we're going to look at legal routes into this country and making them easier and fairer and more widely available. And there are just as many problems with legal immigration to this country as illegal. And so I think, in terms of the forewarning that she also gave, which I thought was fascinating, is like, guys, you might not like my tough talk on this, but what's to come if this doesn't succeed, aka Reform, Conservative, whatever, will be much darker. And I'm not sure that the voters' priorities, which is sorting out illegal immigration immediately, would take particularly kindly to be described as dark, as a dark want from a voter base. But that's how you can already see she's nervous about selling it to the Labour backbench MPs.
Well,
but look,
you
have to. There is proactivity being shown here, and it does make you think, what the hell have they been playing at for the last year or so? And it does also make you think they're giving up on this smash the gangs nonsense.
Olivia Utley had more on Angela Rayner's reported move to topple the Prime Minister.
Wasn't this the same person who was basically fired over a 40 grand stamp duty bill and perhaps should have retired quietly to the backbenchers? Now, Angie's back.
Well, on the face of it, it does seem ludicrous. Angela Rayner was booted out just 2 months ago for failing to pay this £40,000 stamp duty bill. And one would have thought in ordinary times that someone like that would have to have a pretty long spell on the backbenches before currying favour again with the party members and the voters. But these aren't ordinary times. And as we were saying a little earlier, Labour's popularity ratings haven't been lower in 20 years. Keir Starmer is incredibly unpopular, and whatever they say to journalists, whatever the party line is, Labour MPs and even some ministers are seriously thinking about a new leader. Why Angela Rayner? Well, in spite of her baggage, her slightly checkered past and very recent checkered past, she is a popular figure. She's thought to be charismatic. She's a very good dispatch box performer, something which you may not be able to say about her replacement, David Lammy, who had a pretty appalling deputy PMQs by any standards a couple of weeks ago. She also had an ability as deputy Labour leader to unite the left and right of the party, something which is desperately needed at the moment, as we're seeing these new immigration proposals Shabana Mahmood, who seems to be on the right of the party, is putting forward, are an absolute anathema to Labour MPs on the left of the party. They're talking about their disgust, they're talking about the moral ineptitude of these plans. So the idea of getting a leader who could unite the left and right is very, very tempting indeed, someone who could bring back both the Green voters and the Reform voters back under the Labour umbrella. And some people are suggesting that Angela Rayner is the person who could do just that.
Again, I've looked at my data because I follow the data like a hawk at the moment in terms of the seat predictions. Angela Rayner is set to lose her seat at the next election to Reform. Shabana Mahmood would lose her seat to the Corbyn party, Your Party. Ed Miliband, another name that's been touted as leadership material, he would also lose to Reform. Wes Streeting would lose his seat to Corbyn's outfit. My point is, these so-called kings over the water, queens over the water themselves are standing on quicksand. They're destined to lose their own seats.
I mean, we are now so far out from an election, some of these predictions don't quite work. I think just in the lead up to an election, you can start talking about which individual seats could sway one way or the other. But we are still nearly 4 years out from an election, and I think it is impossible to predict the exact seats. The good thing about Angela Rayner or Shabana Mahmood, they at least have seats at the moment. The other potential candidate as a Labour leader is Andy Burnham, who, of course, as Mayor of Manchester, and he said he wants to complete his tenure as Mayor of Manchester, which doesn't finish until May 2026. If there were to be a leadership election soon, and the whispers in Westminster are that there could be, then Andy Burnham is ruled out. So, yes, some of these MPs might be on shaky ground. It looks like anything is to play for at the next general election. But week after week, the polls show Labour hemorrhaging votes both to the left and the right. But everything is in a huge, huge state of flux, and I don't think we can make individual predictions now. Yes, they are all on slightly shaky ground, but at least they have seats for now, and they are, for the most part, more popular than the current Prime Minister.
But we can make predictions based on polls for those forthcoming elections in May, Holyrood, Senedd, and also the council elections, and it looks to be, at present, an absolute bloodbath for the Labour Party. A lot of people then will start saying post-May, perhaps June, just before summer recess, there could be moves made on Sir Keir Starmer. So is that where we're at? Things are so bad. It could be somebody that could potentially lose their seat who could be the heir to the Labour throne.
Well, Personally, I think we're not likely to see any moves against Keir Starmer until next May. Now, might have egg on my face when he's deposed later this week, but I suspect it won't be until May. Those elections are predicted to be a bloodbath, but I think Labour MPs are worried about the idea of having a leadership contest before that, because that would divert both attention and funds away from those May elections. And I think it's also worth mentioning that no Labour leader has ever been deposed in the middle of a parliamentary term. Tony Blair, of course, said that he was going to stand down at a specific time. He named his own execution date, if you like. So whereas the Conservative Party do have a history of getting rid of leaders and appointing new ones, it would be unprecedented for Keir Starmer to be got rid of and replaced. So I think that Labour MPs will give him a little bit more of a chance. Let's not forget he did win this huge majority just 18 months ago. So I think we're looking at after May. But after that, it's anyone's guess.